Hello everyone. The LOCK model, that's L-O-C-K, is a simple research process that can be used with even younger children. I've had a number of in-service teachers and veteran teachers, graduate students, to use the LOCK model, and they report back that they like it because the acronym makes it a good tool for teaching children how to conduct research. The LOC, it's simple, it's easy to remember. The L for locate the information that you need, you organize the information, and you evaluate the sources of information. You communicate the findings to others, and then you evaluate the knowledge for its usefulness. Now we focus on digital literacy because most of the research now, or much of the research that children conduct in K-12 schools uses internet. And so our goal here is to learn some strategies for evaluating resources to be used with classroom research. You would begin with identifying your topic. Now children, probably the topic's going to be given to them by the teacher, and the teacher's going to get the topic from the standard course of study. So let's just say for our purposes we've got a topic, 21st century skills and technology. That's our topic. But based on that topic, we're going to generate a meaningful, well-framed question. An example of that would be, what is ICT and how does this affect my classroom? So you know once you get your answer, your research project is complete and you can evaluate the outcomes from it. So a well-framed question would be written like this, and it would be something that's doable as far as getting the answers or the solutions that you need. So if you were to go into, for example, Google Scholar, locate your information. You've got your research question generated, so we start out by locating. And let's just go into Google Scholar, and like this, because the information is from credible research journals and other websites that are peer-reviewed. And so let's just say, what is ICT in K-12 classrooms? And it's going to give me a number of articles, and you'd want to look for something that's current. For example, look over here, you can filter this by the last couple of years, and that's going to bring it way down to about 2,000 articles. And so you could also search by, I believe you can get full text only. That would further reduce it, because you want to find, if you're like me, you want to look for things where you can actually get the article and not just have to look at the abstract. But here's one, developing a topology for teacher beliefs. Now that's pretty theoretical, so that's not going to really meet my need. I want to know what ICT is and how it affects my classroom. Let's keep going here. Now here's one, effective teacher training for tablet integration in the classroom. Now that meets my needs. I want to know how to use a tablet in my future classroom. And this particular article is going to give me the information I need. It's also going to talk about ICT, information and communication technology. We keep going. Look here, modeling pre-service teachers TPAC competency based on ICT usage. That's probably definitely one I would want to look at to answer my research question. So you can see how using something like Google Scholar is going to start you out with the most credible peer-reviewed academic sources. But we're going to go back to the K-12 classroom. I want something I can use with my students. So I'm going to go back to my tried and true, what is the water cycle? And the Google Safe Search provides, you can see right off, a large number of resources, and you can see also that they come from credible developers and authors. This is .gov, that's going to be reliable. This is Wikipedia, and for first searches, Wikipedia is just fine because it's going to give you a lot of keywords and sources to other more peer-reviewed articles. Now here's a .com, and when possible, steer clear of .com, because look at this, it immediately pops up with a bunch of advertisements, and this particular website may or may not be credible. And let's just see if we can find out who even the author is. I have to go way down, and it's by enchantedlearning.com. It's going to be selling me something for sure, so I would steer clear of the .com. Besides, they're not very well designed for classroom use. You may find something useful there, but there are many good resources. For example, LearnNC is a product of North Carolina. It's a resource provided by the state, and this also has many resources for both teachers and as they prepare for children's lessons. Okay, let's look up water cycle here. And we've got 17 different resources on the water cycle from LearnNC. So you've got options that you don't have to use those, some of them pretty unprofessional commercial websites. Then you've got Joiner Library and the databases in Joiner Library. The Teaching Resource Center is on the second floor of Joiner Library, and it's they have people up there that just love helping pre-service teachers, and so you would want to take advantage of that. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to click on the main page to Joiner Library, and when you do that, it lets you right off type in, I'm just going to say water cycle right off, and see what it gives me. Now here's some very scholarly articles. That's probably not going to meet my need, but if I scroll down, here's some things. This is in the Teaching Resource Center. This is in the Teaching Resource Center. And so, as you can see, I've got a lot of good stuff here that would be appropriate for a K-12 classroom. So, where to locate information? It's right here. But we need to evaluate, and so I have provided, here's a Google Doc, that here's a little think sheet that you can use to help you evaluate the resources. So you probably want to print out, I would just print out several copies of this and just use pencil to lay this beside your computer, and as you're reading through the online resources, go right ahead and evaluate it. And more about that later. But here's the link to the evaluation form. It would be helpful if everybody would use the same form. There are a number of evaluation forms online. Now we've located information. The next step, organize and evaluate. This is the learning log that goes with the LOC model, and you would want to use this in your project. You're going to put your notes here on this left column, just like you did for the think sheet for the case study. But in addition, you're going to paste in the URL, the title of the website, and the author or publisher, along with your notes. Then in the middle column, you're going to type in your personal reflection on this. Is it useful to answer my research question? How? And then the third column is about the evaluation. This is key to this particular model because it's for digital resources. And so everything that you get from the web really needs to be evaluated. And you're going to look at the what, the who, the where, and the when as far as the validity of the website. And I'll show you more about that in the second video lecture. But this is your learning log. You can create your own. You can copy this and enter it into a Word document or a Google Doc, and this would be included in your LOC model project. And then this next step, after you've located information, you've organized and evaluated the information, now you're going to think about how I'm going to communicate the results. This is important for children to understand. If they don't communicate what they find out, they won't learn what they need to learn, and it will not be meaningful to them. So this link right here goes to a website that's got some research, some inquiry-based projects that use digital resources. And I included this because I just thought you might get some interesting ideas on how to use digital resources for inquiry-based learning projects. But for our purposes, for the LOC model, you're going to think about how you or your student would report the results of your research project. And you'd want students to use, more than likely, it would be good for them to report their findings using a digital multimedia tool. You also want to think about the content of the subject, of the topic, and the characteristics of the audience. If the content is reading preferences for my school, and you've done a survey of all the children, and you've got all these different reading interests, genres, then that might best be reported on a bulletin board in the hallway. So these are the kinds of things you want to think about when you communicate and teach children how to communicate the results of their research. And then last, the knowledge outcomes. This is where you evaluate both the sources, but also what we learned through this research process. You would ask, was my question answered or not? And if you didn't get all the answers that you needed, then you want to talk about why not. Can it be applied to a real world setting? Is it accurate and without bias? And this is where you go back and look at that learning log and those evaluation forms for the websites. Some things that you find might have some questionable bias, so you just indicate that. Is it current and up to date? Really important. Some of those journal articles were outdated for internet use, and so you'd want to indicate if something might be out of date. Did you list all your sources? You're teaching children. This is important because they need to always think in terms of what I report is a report on what someone else has written, and I need to list all my sources. And so that is the LOC model. Now, this is accessed. This video is accessed through the Blackboard folder on the LOC model project, and be looking for the second lecture, which is on the actual process for evaluating the websites.